Welcome to the Writer Groupie podcast. I'm Kim Smith, the writing guru, bringing you discussions, insights, and insider details on planning, producing, promoting, and profiting as a writer. This is a podcast by writers for writers. You can find out more about Writer Groupie at www.kimsmithauthor.com. And here's the next episode of Writer Groupie. And here we go with episode 44 of Writer Groupie. And tonight I'm chatting with Barbara Ehrentreu. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes,
I
correct.
have a tendency to butcher people's names. So Barbara Ehrentreu, she is a poet and author of YA fiction, including a YA novel, If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor, and a YA novel, After. She's published by Music Up Publishing and hosts Red River Radio Tales from the Pages on Blog Talk Radio. And we met at Imaginarium 2015 up in Louisville, Kentucky this fall.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
we had so much fun, Barbara. I just enjoyed chatting with you so much, and I'm so glad you came on my show tonight.
Oh, I'm really pleased to be here, Kim. Really, I'm so thrilled to meet other authors and to learn all about them and their lives and see how they write and what they write. And that's why I have a show.
I know, you too, me too. So tell us about your writing and about your writing journey. Tell us all about Barbara Ehrentreu and your books. We want to know.
Okay, so my writing began seriously for me in 2000 when I went to get my master's degree. Actually, 2001 when I went to get my master's degree. I had been dabbling and getting some continuing ed courses, but I really decided to go full-time in 2001 when I had the time. And then I went to Manhattanville College, and it's a really nice place. It's so beautiful. I don't know if you know it, but
I'm not familiar with it, but now you're going to make me go look it up.
It is a beautiful place. Beautiful old buildings and lawns, and just a place where you could just get lost. And I was taking my master's, and my major was reading and writing. So in order to get into this course, well, actually, I took a workshop course, which made me want to write. And I thought back to a little story that I had written, well, actually told my children when they were growing up, when they were really little, called Gestumble, and I wrote it out as a full-length book. And we had some time because at that time we were between houses and living in a hotel. So every night I would write this novel, and I had no idea of the publishing world or what it would entail. And when it was finished, I edited it and sent it out, and it got rejected.
As they always do.
And then I had this chance to get into Paula Danziger's workshop for creative
What's
writing.
that name familiar?
Well, Paula Danziger, she's a very familiar writer.
Okay.
She wrote, what'd she write? The gym, wait. Something about my pants. It's about the gym suit and the pants. I can't remember, but I have her book, actually. I have a lot of her books.
And she had a creative writing
the
course?
Amber Brown series, if you heard that.
Say that again?
Now they have SCBWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, has a foundation called the Amber Brown Foundation, which gives out a scholarship to a very deserving writer each year. So and they also make sure that the Amber Brown books are carried on and the tradition. Paula was fantastic. I got into her class. I wrote the first 3 pages of If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor for her class.
Oh.
And then she took her pen when she was working with me in my individual time with her. And she said, I like this story, but she wrote cut, cut, cut on every one of the things that I'd written. she put a big slash
Oh,
in
wow.
paragraphs. And she said, cut. And she said, I like the writing, but you have too much. You talk too much. You need to have more of a spare style.
Isn't
So
that
she,
kind of like that's like every story we write? You know, we have all this extraneous stuff that we really don't need,
exactly.
and that's what we do as we learn to write. Is we learn to cut.
I loved it because nobody had ever done that to my work. And it was pretty drastic. And so she said that she was going to rewrite the first couple of paragraphs for me, and she did. And she showed me the style that would be suitable for YA.
Oh,
So the first chapter of my book, if you've read it, If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor,
I think I actually downloaded it. I haven't read it yet, but I've got it in my queue.
it has the first three paragraphs are basically hers.
Oh,
So I did not want to change them. They're
no.
perfect. You know, I changed a few lines, but
Yeah.
it's basically that kind of short sentences,
Punchy.
punchy. Exactly, very
Yeah.
punchy.
Know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and so I continued with this story after I was done with our workshop because she gave me such a foundation for
Right.
writing. She went into everything, character development, plot development, everything.
That's awesome. We all need a mentor like that.
She was so wonderful. And I'd show her when I met her at SCBWI conferences because it took me about 2 years to write. I'd show her what I was writing and she'd say, good, keep on, keep at it, keep at it. So
Yeah.
she was a big influence in my writing and in keeping me, to the grindstone.
Yeah.
So then when it was done, I put it through, I would say, 3 or 4 critique groups. One critique group called YA Authors was the first one that I put it through, and they helped me a great deal in getting it down to where it should be and
Yeah.
telling me what should go in and what should go in and what sounded right and what didn't sound right. And then after YA Authors, I went to another group and then another group, and then finally I felt comfortable enough to try and send it out. So I sent it out and I sent it out and I sent it out. And I got like 8 rejections from big companies because I'd go to SCBWI conferences and I'd hear the editor and they'd say, oh, yeah, send us your stuff. So I'd send it with the SCBWI label and I think, oh, great, someone is going to like it, but never.
Mm. Oh,
It
that's
did
so
like the
sad.
big people did not like the publishers did not like it. At that time, they were not accepting problem stories, as they
Mm.
called it. And mine was about a girl who had a problem, who dealt with a girl who has a problem. So,
I remember you talking about this now that I'm listening to you on the panel we were on together at Imaginarium. And I found that very intriguing. To me, that sounded like a great premise was, a child who has a problem dealing with a child who has a problem. And it's kind of like, how they each fell down and they each helped each other back up.
it
And,
was it was really something that came from my own life. My daughter, when I had to give in this paper to to Paula, my own daughter was going through issues with bulimia. She was starting to be bulimic, and she actually acted out in front of me
oh, very good.
like a cry for help.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of research on on eating disorders
Right.
and what it would be like to know someone who had an eating disorder or had an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And because I didn't feel comfortable. For me, I couldn't understand it, how
Yeah.
how somebody could feel that way about food. And so I did incorporate a lot of that into the book too. So
Yeah. Sometimes we do research for things, for books and stories, and it's amazing where it leads us. Sometimes it's just so intriguing. I mean, I know authors who have gone into research for a certain part of a book that they were writing, and got so involved in it that they started going to college. They would go back to college to study that particular thing because it was that interesting to them.
Yeah.
So you never know where your research will lead you, and it led you into a full-length novel. Now I got to ask, because, listening to you talk about it, you went through a kind of an ordeal by submitting it and submitting it and submitting it and getting rejections and getting rejections. So what ultimately did you do with this book?
I put it away. I actually put it away, and then I was attending the Muse Online Writing Conference, which Lee Skeezes is reopening this year.
I saw that the other day on Facebook. How exciting. I told her, I said, put me down for a panelist. Yeah, I love her conference. That Online Writers Conference is fantastic.
So many people were there, and I met so many people. I mean, so then what I did was I decided at that moment, because Lee had said that she liked the beginning of my book, and I had somehow or other put it out for Margot Fink as one of those first paragraphs of a book. And Lee really loved it. So she told me, why don't you submit your book in the pitch session? She offered to have me submit my book on the pitch session.
She already had her druthers, didn't she? She'd rather you pitched it so she could snatch it right up.
And so I thought, wow, it was 7 years from the time that I had, let me see, 7 years till I sent it in. No, 5 years till I sent it in. 7 years of trying to get it published. And then finally, in 2011, it got published. I actually got it through the pitch session, and that was interesting. That was an online pitch session.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think this is becoming more and more of a story for authors today, because breaking into New York has become pretty much an impossible task. To the point where authors are just not even going at it for very long anymore. They'll give it a half-hearted try, but if, they don't get the response they're looking for, they're going to look for an indie author situation, where they can do it themselves or else have a small publisher to publish it for them.
Well, I knew from Muse Kids, which was an online critique group that I was in, and she was running it. And so she knew me. She knew me from the conferences because I was involved. I was a moderator for a lot of workshops, and I gave I was always involved in those workshops. So she knew me. And when I said that I was, thinking about doing it, she said, send it to me, see what happens. And so from the pitch session, everyone at the pitch session loved it. And Penny Ehrentreu, who was then an editor at Muse, she loved it, and Lee loved it, and Nancy Bell, who's now not at Muse too, she was my editor, became my editor, and she loved it. So everyone loved it.
That's great.
Including the publisher.
That's great. We all want to find a home for our work where they love it as much as we do. Because when you really have a team working with you that really believes in your work, it just goes so much easier. Our lives just suddenly become a whole lot easier.
So I did. I gave it to them, and it came out in an ebook in 2011, and then in 2012 it was published as a print book, and I just happened to have a copy.
Hold that up for us. Back up just a little bit. There you go. If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor. Very good cover. Like that a lot. Congratulations, Miss Barbara.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And this was published in 2012. And then afterward, for Nano, I decided to start way back in 2006 when my husband had a heart attack. I started a book about his heart attack, which came to me in the voice of a 15-year-old girl. And her name was Lauren. And that was called When My Life Changed, but it changed into After. So that's my second book. I don't happen to have, I do have something. Hold on. I think I have something here. Can I just come back for 2 seconds?
Sure.
Okay.
While Barbara is looking for her book that is entitled After, we're going to wait and see. Can she bring us the cover so we can see the cover art? Barbara's books are available. You can go to the Music Up Publishing website and find her books. And here she comes. And we got this
I'm
cover.
back.
Yay!
This is a postcard
Oh, I
of the
like
book cover.
that.
And in the book cover, on the book cover, she does have eyes, but we cut off the eyes because my daughters think she looks robotic. So
Kids can't live with them and you just can't shoot them.
So that was supposed to come out in print in this before Imaginarium, but Lee said because they have such a stack up of books to be printed, it's going to take longer. So I figure it won't come out until next year. So, I'm patient.
Y'all just have to wait till you can get After in paper.
No.
Listen, answer me this. What is it about writing YA fiction that appeals the most to you?
I think probably it's reliving my high school years and doing them the way I wish I could have. I went to my 40th high school reunion in, I won't tell the year, but when I went, I was told by one of the girls that I thought was one of the most popular that she thought I was in the popular group. Yeah, I never felt popular. I never felt I was in the popular group.
I recognize that disease. I do.
And so in writing about these girls who in If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor, Carolyn really wants to be popular. She wants to be popular, she wants to be a cheerleader, and she does almost anything to do that. She's, and that was how I felt, except I didn't have as much guts as Carolyn, my character.
See, that's the interesting thing about writing, and that could be any genre or style, is we can actually live out some things on the page that we wish we could have lived out in our lives. And so we can have it turn out however we want it to.
Yeah, I think also that it is a way of getting how I feel about stuff across to kids in a way that is not messagey. I don't think any of my books are very messagey. So
yeah, I mean, really and truly, I think that's real key for writing YA today is you're telling a story that they will recognize. They will see themselves in this story in whatever character they pick, whoever they are. But we're not writing the story to preach at them. We're writing the story to entertain them and to offer them a solution to their own life because, like a child who's maybe dealing with bullying, and we have a character who's dealing with bullying. They are reading about a character dealing with their problem, and they want to know how it ends. So it's not like we're preaching at them or telling them how to live or what to do. We're just telling them a story about a kid like them.
Like Carolyn feels really, she's been bullied by Jennifer. Jennifer is bullying her, and it's a situation where she's being bullied and she can't really put her finger on how it's being done and what's going on, but it's a kind of emotional bullying. It's not physical bullying, it's emotional bullying, which is worse. And today, probably, I would have had her being bullied on the computer, But when I wrote it, I didn't do that,
Yeah.
So she's being bullied, and then she finds out that she has to be the partner of her bully.
Interesting twist there. I like that.
And so it creates a situation where they have to be together. And then she finds out her bully has a terrible secret. And so instead of really holding it over her, although Jennifer does blackmail her with the homework, she keeps her secret And I won't tell you how long she keeps a secret or why, what happens, but she keeps a secret. And the fact that she keeps her secret makes Carolyn one of the characters that some people just adore. Some people just love Carolyn, and some people love Jennifer.
Well, it's because, we always hear about bad things in the human, personality, but we don't hear about loyalty. Loyalty is not something that we hear a lot about, but that's something that kids really need in their life. They need somebody to be in their court, in their corner,
Yeah,
and be
yeah,
loyal to them.
yeah.
And so
And
that's a very timely premise you have in that story. I think that will appeal to a lot of young adults.
yeah, and I think
Probably already has. It's been out for a minute.
I, it's been out since 2011, but I think the feedback that I've gotten, I have 25 reviews on it, and I'm hoping that I'll get more.
How
I
did you
want more.
get your reviews for your books?
Okay, one of the reviews came from a friend who I gave the book to before it was published and said to her, I have this book. She was a poetry friend. And I said, I really value your opinion, and I'd like you to read it and see what you think of it. And she read it, and she said, before she read it, she said, I don't know. I don't usually do this because
We all have a friend
I
like
get in
that.
trouble if I don't like it, And I said, well, I think you're going to like it. She came back with the most glowing words about my story. She said, oh my God, Barbara, I love this story. I love Carolyn. I love Carolyn so much. I just want to see Carolyn everywhere. She is such a wonderful character. And then she wrote me a review about it. Then Lynn Holmes, I don't know if you know Lynn Holmes, she was part of Muse It Up.
Your name
Lynn
is
always
familiar.
wrote reviews for people.
Oh, okay.
She read it and loved it. My friends of mine who read it loved it. Then I exchanged some books with someone, and she wrote a review for me, and I wrote a review for her.
So it's just the various different
And then
ways that you got your reviews. It wasn't like, you went through a company or something. That's all
no, I
they
didn't go
did.
through a company. And the other thing was, if I saw that a place was asking for people who wanted book reviews, I joined. So I got into online book reviews, which is a really good place to try and get a review. And they don't review anything unless it's 3 stars or more. They
Yeah.
won't put it up. If it's not 3 stars, they won't let it onto their site.
Yeah.
And they
Have
can
you had any problems with Amazon taking any of your reviews down since they
no,
changed their
knock
plan?
wood. Where's wood? Knock wood, no.
Well, that's good. I haven't either, but I know there's been, I really think that was done specifically for a lot of people who thought there was a gold rush out there at Amazon writing ebooks. And they wrote a bunch of, very, very short ebooks that were really not really a good read, and then they would hire some type of a review company who would, for a matter of money, would post 50 5-star reviews, and they were all fake. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I
Yeah,
understand why Amazon
yeah.
put those rules into place. I think they were very critical, and they will help us authors who are genuinely writing books for entertainment.
This reminds me of I was on the group Amazon writers. I can't remember exactly, but you had to introduce yourself, and I wrote that I was an author and an editor and so forth. And somebody got in touch with me, and she said, I would like to review your book. I said, oh, that's great. She said, but I want money for it. I said, I
Oh,
don't pay. I said, I don't pay. And she got on message and messaged me that she thought that she really wanted to read my book, and I said to her, well, I just do not pay for reviews. I don't need to pay for reviews.
right.
I have 25 reviews, actually 24 at that time.
Yeah.
And so after telling her about how I wouldn't pay, she admired my integrity so much that she wrote a review for me.
That's a good review right there. That's a good review.
And I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled. It was a beautiful review, and it was great. And yeah, I think it was for after. I'm not sure if it was for if I could be like Jennifer Taylor, but the thing is that I don't need to pay for reviews, and that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I do not ever want to pay for reviews because I don't think that it's kosher.
It's not. It's really not. It would be like, you know, uh, oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain a comparison to that. It's just not kosher. That's just the best way we can put it.
Yeah, well, I'm Jewish, so not being kosher is like,
That's the epitome, isn't it?
yeah, like you really, but it is a situation that I don't like. I don't like this feeling that you have to pay for reviews.
Well, it's not genuine. It's not genuine. They're getting paid to say something, and they're not going to say anything ugly or give you a bad review. I mean, not that your book was deserving of it, but if it had been deserving of it, they weren't going to say that, which is not benefiting you or a reader, follower to that. I mean,
No.
it's just not genuine. So,
And for me, book reviews are pretty sacrosanct. If I don't like someone's book, I won't review it. I may send back some feedback to them and say, you know, I'm not going to review this book because I feel there's too many typos or there's too much, uh, just too much. I can't review it, and it's rare for me to do that. But because most of the books that I read are good, but I will take off a star for for typos, for too many grammatical errors or typos, because I feel once an editor gets through your book, and then you have the chance to look at the galley before you publish it. If you don't find the errors, you know,
that's on you.
right, one or two I can take, a few.
Yeah.
But if there's so many that they're starting to affect the reading, I feel that no, you haven't edited this book properly.
Right.
Therefore, I can't really give you, like a 4-star would go down to a 3-star, a 5-star would go down to a 4-star, because who wants a book that's in that kind of condition to read?
Yeah, and here recently I have been seeing more and more reviews where the reviewers would give a 3-star review saying, I like the story, I like the characters, but the writing was deplorable. The editing was even worse. I've seen a lot of reviews where the reviewers are dinging the author on the lack of editing. Now let's talk about editing, because you are an editor, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a service that you provide authors, or you just do it for
No,
yourself?
I haven't gone commercial because one of the reasons was when my husband was ill, I couldn't really do much. And then afterward, I spent maybe a good 9 to 10, maybe 11 months of just mourning, just not being able to get myself to do much of anything. Except I did start my second novel last year at Nano, which now became Who is Jennifer Taylor? That's the second novel it's going to be beta read soon. I'm sending it out very soon. And I have 6 readers, so that'll be good to get their feedback.
Right.
I don't need a critique group anymore because I know all of the ins
Well,
and
you're
outs
past
of
all
what's
that.
needed.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I think at some point we all mature as writers to the point where we don't need somebody saying, okay, dot this I and, put a comma here and, oh, why did you make her hair color brown on this page and blonde on that page? And we catch all that on our own second and third edits.
right.
So I think we all mature to a point where we really don't need a critique group anymore. What we need more than that is what I personally have, which is like a mastermind group where
Exactly.
a bunch of authors get together and say, I am really having a difficult time with managing my time, or who's got some good ideas for marketing right now, and just things like that benefit us all as authors more than just individual books. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I just joined them, the group Pen, Pen, letters.
Never
You
heard
might
of
be
it.
interested in looking for a group in your area.
Oh,
They're called Pen Letters, and Actually, Penn is a whole national group,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and they give out awards and stuff. But Penn Letters is specifically for authors
Wow.
who are involved in writing. You
Oh.
have to at least publish one book.
Do you have
And
like a link for that? If you'll send me links to
I
things
will
like that,
send you, yeah,
I'll put that
I
in the
will.
blog post that accompanies this interview so that others can
Yeah,
benefit from that as well.
yes, Penn is a great group because we get together once a month and discuss writing, and you
Sounds
can bring in
great.
your work, and they'll critique it for you at the meeting. And it's just a lot of it's local people, so you're close. If you get friendly with someone, it's close, and it's just really, really nice. They're a support group for authors, really very sweet. And also they do artists, and they're all in the arts,
Speaking
illustrated.
of arts, we know you're a poet as well.
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about your poetry. It seems to me like that poetry is like an unsung hero in the writing world. A lot of great poetry out there, but people don't necessarily, I mean, I write poetry myself, but I don't seek to get it published. It's just something I do for myself. It's almost like someone who likes to draw, but they don't intend to ever do anything with it. It's for them. Same thing with me and my poetry. I write them in books, and that's just for me. But you didn't do that. You took yours out into the world. Tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that.
I started writing poetry when I was very young. I was like in college, and it was love poetry, and then it was war poetry, and then it was stuff I didn't show to anyone except then I started showing it to close friends. And then I actually used to write to my husband all the time. When I got angry, I'd write an angry poem, or if something happened, I'd write a love poem. I'd write birthday poems for people. And then I decided, well, maybe I'd like to work on my poetry. So I took a couple of, courses in how to write poetry and what to do to get your poetry to really shine. And then I took online course, and then finally I stopped doing that, and I got a little bit published from Albany Poetry Workshop. It still might be online, I don't know. Then I started sending my poems into different magazines, and so I had a couple of them published here and there. And then I got involved with April Poem a Day, which is Robert Brewster from Publishers Weekly
Oh,
has a blog called Poetry Asides,
oh,
Poetic
okay.
Asides. You know that
I,
blog, Poetic Asides?
I don't, but now I'm going to have to go look it up. There's
And
another link for me.
every April, you're supposed to, because April is Poetry Month,
Okay.
so you're supposed to write a poem a day. So
Oh, okay.
I got involved with this in 2000. I think it was 2008. It may have been earlier, 2008 maybe. And I started writing in this group. And what you do is you post your poems in comments, and people look at your poetry and give you comments on it.
Oh, okay.
And you read theirs and comment on theirs. And what happened was I got involved with this group, and we got very tight. We got like a little clique of us, and we decided to form something called Poetry Friends, and this exploded because then Poetry Friends became a group of people who we decided to publish an anthology of our poetry.
Very
And
cool.
so we published two books. One is called An Anthology of International Poetry, and the other one is called Dark Side. It was poems. Through the Open Door. That's what
Okay.
the second one is called, and both of them have their proceeds going to charity. The first one is going to Doctors Without no. The first one is going to Reading is Fundamental, and the second one is going to Doctors Without
Oh,
Borders.
what a great charity that is. That
So
is
both of them.
fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. What a feather in your cap to be able to have those kinds of credits. And, I'm all about if somebody wanted to publish something of mine and, put it out there and the funds to go for charity, I would have no problem with that.
I will try and find the website to the other poetry that I have published so that I can send that to you too.
Okay.
Because I have some other poems written, and one is in an anthology called Backlit Barbell.
Backlit barbell. Okay, that's interesting.
It's about activities, it's about physical activities.
Yeah.
So
Well,
plus, so then
we are already down to the end of the show. I'm just looking at the clock going, it can't be that much time already, but it is.
do you
But,
still talk about my poetry? Because I could talk about why I post it.
I tell you what we might have to do is we might have to have two shows. You might have to come back on the show and tell me more stuff because we've run out of time.
And I'm officially inviting you to my show.
Well, I would love to. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the Red River
Well,
radio
the Red
show.
River Writers Tales from the Pages is a show that I started when I wasn't even published.
Wow. That's been going on a long time then. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's been like since 2010, actually 2009, 10, and it's been going that long. And what I do is I invite people on. I usually give them questions beforehand based on their biography and their writing. And we talk for the first half hour. I'll interview an author for about a half hour. And then usually I have more than one. So it's another half hour.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first hour is talking to the author and finding out about them. And then the last hour is when we get together, the authors, and we just discuss anything at all.
Well,
And
this sounds like a lot of fun. I
fun.
would just love to be a part of that. You need to send me all the links. I'm going to send you an email here in a day or so, and you can send me the links that we discussed. And of course, I'll need all your bio and pictures and things like that. But I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for coming on my show. And I know you've got a series coming out. We just didn't get a chance to talk about everything tonight.
Well, I didn't actually send the second one in, but I will be sending the second one in as soon as I get the beta readers to read it and give me what needs to be done. And I also wanted to say that if not for meeting Amy Lee McCorkle, I would never have met you, Kim. Amy was the impetus for me coming down there to Imaginarium 2015. And
Thank you, Amy.
thank you, Amy. And Amy is involved now in getting her Letters to Daniel movie out. So I just want to give her a plug because she's one of the hardest working authors I ever met.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can get her on the show too.
Yes, definitely. We should. Amy has been on my show, but you should definitely interview Amy. Amy is someone really special.
I'll have to send her an email. We'll just have to get her on the show. Now that we've talked about her, Amy, we're going to have you on the show.
And she'll love that too, because the more publicity she gets, the better it is for her.
Barbara, thank you so much for coming on Writer Groupie and being a part of episode 44. And we're always chasing each other around on the internet, so I know I'll see you again. But be sure and tell the viewers where they can find you before we close.
Okay. You can find me on Facebook at Barbara Ehrentreu, Ehrentreu, author Barbara Ehrentreu. Okay. That you should probably look me up on author Barbara Ehrentreu. And then on Twitter at Barb Air, Barbehr. I'm also in Goodreads under my name. I am on LinkedIn under my name. I am on, like I said, Facebook, Goodreads, Amazon. You can find my book on my Amazon.
Muse It Up Publishing's page has something about
Muse It Up and Muse It Up Publishing. It's Muse It Up Publishing. You have to say Muse It Up and then publishing.com.
Right.
And where else am I? I'm at Barnes & Noble. You can find me there under my books. If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor. or after. And you can find the print book of If I Could Be Like Jennifer Taylor along with the ebook on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Smashwords. You can
Everywhere.
find anywhere you can find ebooks. You can mostly find I'm on iTunes, on iBooks, so
She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
everywhere. But you have to look because they put the really high up ones up on front. So you got to actually type in the name of the book to get me on iTunes.
Well, I'm sure that we'll have a lot of viewers to go out and hunt you up, Barbara. And I'm really excited. I'm glad I've got your book. I'm looking forward to reading it. And I will try and give you a review for it. So
That would be great. My 26th review. I would love that.
I'll be number 26. You're number 44. I'm number 26. Thank you again so much for coming on my show tonight. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Well, it's a pleasure, Kim. It was like having you across the table and having coffee with you.
Exactly. All right, next time. Thank you for listening to this edition of Writer Groupie. For booking information, show notes, and more, visit kimsmithauthor.com.